Hey guys, well, another Cleveland baseball season is over. Guardians go down in 3 games to the Detroit Tigers in the wild card series. Detroit, after a horrible September and really not a great second half of the season, finds a way to pick themselves up at the right time and defeat the team that was really their nemesis, especially in September. Guardians take 5 out of 6 from the Tigers late in the season to capture the American League Central Division title. But Detroit wins when it matters. And I didn't really have a feel for what was going to happen yesterday going to the game. Usually I do. I remember going to Game 6 of the 2016 World Series. Cubs win that game. And I left thinking that Cleveland's not going to win Game 7. And when Rajay Davis hit that home run in Game 7, that was, I think, the biggest jaw-dropping moment I've ever had at a baseball game that I've been to. But the Cubs eventually go on to win that game and win the World Series. But yesterday, I didn't know what I thought would happen. First 2 games kind of went the way I expected them. Game 1, low scoring, Tarik Skubal versus Gavin Williams. Kind of up for grabs who would win that game. Detroit wins that game. I thought going into Game 2, Tanner Bibee would give the Guardians a shot. He did that. Guardians score late, beat the Tigers, force Game 3. And give credit to the Tigers for, like I said, putting away or pushing aside a bad run of baseball to advance to the ALDS against the Mariners. What about this Guardian season? Like I said, it's very, very different compared to a lot of them. This team in July looked terrible. They looked absolutely terrible. They looked every bit of their 15.5 game deficit. And to the players' credit, and people look at ownership, great, look at ownership. Players that are on the field produce the results, and to their credit, they picked themselves off the mat and got themselves in a position to make the playoffs again. And honestly, I didn't see them playing in October back in July. I didn't see them playing in October at the beginning of the season. So that's a lot of credit to them. That's a lot of credit to Stephen Vogt. I think thinking out of the box and coming up with having a 6-man rotation, I think, was a big thing in them getting to the playoffs this year. Their starting pitching in September was just off the charts. Off the charts, if you paid attention to it. The Achilles heel, you're not scoring enough runs. And that's where they need to address that moving forward. I think their season batting average was 224. 224, and you get into the postseason. That's not going to happen every year. And I'm not saying go out and spend Juan Soto money to get a Juan Soto. What did Juan Soto do for the Mets this year? Yeah, he had a great year. Did they make the playoffs? No. They underachieved. They were the crash and burn team in baseball now that the Tigers were able to push aside their problems and move on to the playoffs. The Mets didn't even make the playoffs. So, but you still really need to address this lineup. Another bat. You can't depend on great Septembers to always save you. I thought that 10-game losing streak was going to cost them. It didn't. A great September saved them. But you need players to carry you to the 188 games, carry you to 90 to 95 wins, and put yourself in a position to get back to the playoffs. They took a step back this year. Find a way to take a step forward.